Fashion and music are inseparable. As long as an artist has an image or their fan base does, the two always come in a pair of sight carrying sound or vice versa. It can be mind-melting to see your favorite artist collaborate with or even just wear a piece from your favorite brand. The marriage of these two worlds you're invested in is exciting. But what makes an artist and a brand a perfect match? What music and fashion have in common is that they are both the most common modes of personal expression in society today. Clothes don't naturally play songs and music can only be heard in bass form, but throughout history the two have made great strides in their partnership. From the introduction of music in fashion shows to the growing importance of wardrobes for music videos and concerts, one aided the potency of the other. As the patina of royals and nobles began to crumble, and entrepreneurs and movie stars became next in line as the most aspirational figures in society, fashion also went through heavy democratization. The industry wasn't so stuffy and brands were opening their doors to celebrities to be involved for one reason or another. But when a designer is inspired by an artist or chooses to make them the face of a campaign, or simply align themselves with them and their work or vice versa, there's usually clear lines that can be drawn in between them. Both artists and designers express sensibilities in their work and their subject matter. Exploration of sexuality, not fitting into society, punk, surrealism, or maybe the artist just looks like the type of person the designer would like to dress. Oftentimes, artists and designers end up being fans of each other if they both have similar interests or do similar work that is presented different across different art forms. Both could be troublemakers, both could be interested in pushing the boundaries of their respective art forms in raw instinctual ways. One's work could fuel and inspire the other, usually the musician inspires the designer. Whatever it is, if the partnership makes sense, usually the audience, including fans, journalists, etc., can understand the collection. Tyler the Creator wouldn't make sense for Rick Owens or Number 9, but he does make sense for Bottega as we've seen them work recently. This one is low-key cheating because Tyler mainly visually works for Bottega through his clean preppy style that already exists, but at the same time the subject matter of Call Me If You Get Lost is still kind of Bottega coded. All the times he speaks about his luxury lifestyle and, toes in the sand and Geneva or whatever. In the past he did make sense for Vans as well, and he still makes sense for Converse. There are lots of situations in the current fashion landscape, however, where big brands will have ambassadors that don't have any discernible connection to the brand at all, like LVMH's grip on huge K-pop stars or Jude Bellingham being one of Louis Vuitton's new sports correspondents. I guess the only link here is that Louis Vuitton is basically the Real Madrid of fashion, but what I'm saying is, don't pay too much attention to the ambassadors. They're mainly there for like photo ops of the collections and stuff, and posting on social media that, hey, I'm wearing Louis Vuitton today, hey, I'm sponsored by Chanel. It's like a symbiotic relationship between the two. You want to look at the campaigning, the tour wardrobing, not the random cologne commercials with Channing Tatum catching an arrow out of the sky or something. Theme, upbringing, exchanging of similar ideas, just like-minded people in general fuel the marriage of an artist to a brand. But enough chit-chat, I'm sure you get it. Let's get into our examples. Jean-Paul Gaultier didn't get an enfant terrible reputation for no reason. To this day, he is known as one of the most provocative, sexually charged, and boundary-breaking designers of all time. His clothes often include elements of fetishism, BDSM, and cross-dressing, all while executing these ideas with top-notch tailoring. In a profile for The New Yorker in 2011, he shared how, as a child, he would spend lots of time at his grandmother's house where he would watch content on the television that was much too grown for a child his age, such as Folie Bergère. He would also listen to the advice his grandmother would give to her counsel clients about how to save their marriage, which included spicing up their wardrobe. The idea of a wardrobe redo saving a marriage fascinated him. Pair this with overt sexual influence along with his awareness of his queerness at an early age, his future design language was inevitable. His infamous boy toy collection in 1984 that showed men in skirts had the industry in a frenzy, but Jean-Paul Gaultier had no desire to shock for shock's sake. He wasn't that type of designer. Having his finger on the pulse of the times, he acknowledged that men were becoming a lot less macho, so we thought, why not? This free spirit and fearlessness to explore whatever idea his kaleidoscopic mind pleased led him to expressing ideas of multiculturalism, traditional French dress symbols such as mariner stripes and sailor caps, the Parisienne, the male as an object, LGBTQ fashion and ideals, fetishism, the exploration of BDSM garments and accessories, and much, much more. The first time Jean-Paul Gaultier explored the cone breast design was for his teddy bear Nana as a child. The second time was for his spring-summer 1983 ready-to-wear collection Dada, where he exaggerated the shape and size of the cups of the bra in similar fashion that he would end up doing for Madonna. This show was also a shock to the system as it introduced the idea of undergarments like corsets that were extended into dresses, and bras being outerwear. The third time we saw the cone breast design was for Jean-Paul Gaultier's Fall-Winter 1984 show Barbet. I don't know how to fully pronounce that, I think it's Barbet. And this collection was, in his words, inspired by the styles of the many different ethnic groups that populated the French neighborhood of the same name. The most famous iterations of this look came in a ruched velvet dress in bright orange with quite an abrasive form of the version you're most likely familiar with, as well as a purple calf-length version. Journalists have likened these protruding breast designs to many things such as African fertility carvings and the bully bras of the 50s. Although the silhouette already had a reputation under Gaultier's brand before Madonna, her pared-down adaptations in her 1990 Vogue music video and the opening night of her Blonde Ambition tour in Japan on April 13, 1990 are etched in the annals of modern fashion history. I say her versions are pared down, but they're actually a lot closer to the original bully bra design of the 50s. Bully bras were supposed to be the answer to the diminishing bust support and definition of women's undergarments in the 1930s. The pointed shape of the bra came from its circular stitching, leading to a point in the front that pushed outward more than upward. This facet created a few visual effects, of course. The pointed tip appearances under the tightly worn garments that were worn over them, along with assistance in creating the hourglass shape that was so desirable back then. Along with movie stars like Marilyn Monroe and Jane Mansfield being the poster girls for the sweater girl look of the bully bra underneath a tight-fitting sweater and skirt, the strong, desirable feminine look of the 50s owes a good deal of its notoriety to bully bras. I say all of this to say that the history of the bullet bra and the attitude of Madonna inherently share a strong link. As early as the 80s, Gaultier was a fan of Madonna, and Madonna was a fan of Gaultier. In the same New Yorker interview, Gaultier expressed how he first saw her performing Holiday in 1984 and was enamored with her outfit, along with her absolutely legendary raunchy performance of Like a Virgin on the first MTV Awards in the same year. This performance was highly controversial due to elements like her humping her wedding veil, rolling around and crawling on the floor and seemingly masturbating. Live national television simply wasn't ready. Her manager even told her afterwards that her career was over, but it was quite the opposite. MTV was still a fledgling company that was created just 3 years prior, and this was the very first MTV Awards, so the controversy that had journalists scrambling catapulted both the channel and Madonna into the core of pop culture and had the youth eating out of their hands. Like Jean-Paul Gaultier, Madonna had cultivated an image of undeniable talent, shocking the status quo by injecting it with the new youthful energy, shifting the tides of her field forever, being a catalyst for more female artists to take control of their sexuality instead of having their nature being dictated by the press for them. Already having popular singles like Holiday and Lucky Star, her choice to perform a still unreleased song like a Virgin in her elaborate setup of a white wedding dress, corsetry and crucifixes, a digestible portrayal of innocence that went completely in the other direction, set her on the path to becoming the legendary pop star Madonna we know today. A sex symbol for all genders, an innovator in live performances through elements like choreography and costuming, a slew of further controversies, pop incarnate. Like previously stated, Madonna had also known Gaultier in the 80s, wearing the black version of one of his dresses to the 1985 American Music Awards, the white version of the same dress to the premiere of the film Desperately Seeking Susan months later, and she stopped by at his first boutique in Paris after her performance at the Parc des Sceaux in 1987. He was a fan of hers after seeing her performance and attitude and told her he would like to make a corset dress for her. For her blockbuster worldwide Blonde Ambition tour, Madonna asked Jean-Paul Gaultier to design her costumes, and he did 358 of them. The most iconic one of them all, of course, was the outfit Madonna wore for her opening show in Japan on April 13, 1990, featuring the pale salmon corset with the cone bra on top. It's no surprise that Madonna went on to become a queer icon all across the world, and it's also understandable that during her peak in 1990, Jean-Paul Gaultier, a man who had shared much of her sensibilities, played a large part in her making history. What Gaultier had managed to become by this time, along with what Madonna was carving out for herself, was very similar. They were raunchy troublemakers. Gaultier's exploration of ideas like sexuality, the male as an object, BDSM and fetishism, and woman empowerment were not always from a provocative perspective, and more so done with a why not attitude, as well as bringing all of his fantasies to life with the fearlessness of a designer brought up outside the traditional fashion system. Madonna was more of a performer, of course, sending shockwaves through the patina with her unconventional outfits and sexual maneuvers in music videos and performances. But like Gaultier, regardless of her controversy, her skill and talents were undeniable, and she wouldn't be successful without them. A real force to be reckoned with, her actions were supposed to be the end of her career more times than she could count, but like Gaultier, she was never so ignorant or naive to be causing such a commotion for the sake of it. She went on to show her intelligence, thoughtfulness, and star power throughout the years with, of course, amazing success, as well as publicly speaking out against AIDS during this crisis, as well as being cited as a counseling figure for her backup dancers on tour. Madonna and Jean-Paul Gaultier were a match made in heaven, and the cone bra bodysuit remains an immortal piece of pop culture history, transcending both music and fashion. The famed story goes like this. A 16-year-old Demeulemeester found Patti Smith's Horses record in an Antwerp record shop in 1976 and was absolutely enamored with the Robert Mapplethorpe photograph of Patti in a clean white shirt with her jacket slung over her shoulder and a ribbon around her neck, to the point where she bought it without even knowing anything about it. Struck by the power of this image, along with the effect the actual music had on her, Anne knew that she had to know this woman, and after she started making clothes some years later, Anne decided she would track her down and send her a beautifully constructed package of 3 white shirts to her home in Detroit, dying. And when she received the package and examined the white shirts thoroughly, she understood that she was not alone in the world, and whoever sent the package really understood her. Anne's package played a role in Patti continuing her career, and since that day, she never performed on stage without wearing something from Anne's brand. They later connected and became what Patti considers to be sisters. The Vogue interview they both did with each other for the release of Anne's self-titled book holds crucial information pertaining to their kinship over the years, and here we can learn what the duo thinks of one another. For Patti, I derived great power from wearing Anne's clothes. Since I began performing again after that first gift, I have never gone on stage without wearing a piece by Anne. All of Anne's clothes are significant. A jacket, a vest, a shirt, they are such a part of me. They make me feel confident, they make me feel truly like myself. They are talismanic. For Anne, for me, it's about the creative energy of the music. I can't even pin it down to one song. I simply draw from that energy and I put it inside of me, and then I bring it out into the designs. The image of Patti Smith with her disheveled hair, boyish face, svelte figure presented simply in the black and white attire could be seen as the jump-off point for a lot of other designers in fashion whose clothing echo the same sensibility, including Helmut Lang, Raf Simons, and Eddie Slimane. But perhaps none of them hit it off with her the way that Anne did, not only because Anne personally reached out, but because Anne's clothing comes closest to matching the spirit of the image. Often described as romantic, poetic, or at times even gothic, Anne Demeulemeester's brand has always been characterized by a deep personal touch, whether it was her clean cuts of loose, light fabrics, or her asymmetrical shirts and jackets, or distinct choices of what she would present as jewelry, like her feather necklace from 1992. Each look presented in a collection has its own breadth of Anne, but within each individual piece, one can see Anne's intention of creating something deeply personal that will grow with the wearer for years to come through the monochromatic color or texture, weight, space created around the body, or intricate details only the wearer can see. The comparison is that, like most of Patti Smith's music, Horses is charged with a lot of emotion and passion through not only Patti's delivery, but her soulful and poetic lyrics. Reading them out loud as opposed to hearing them belted out on the track can be two very different experiences, as the lyrics often tell a story or some personal event, relationship, or vision of hers. This vulnerability and infusion of one's being in their artistic work can be considered the link between the two. Anne was always concerned with making something beautiful out of her own ingenuity, trying to give people in the world clothes that they could feel confident and powerful in, as well as clothes that could help them know themselves. Anne herself draws power from whatever she wears and is not shy to state her dependence on the right clothing to navigate the world around her. So her method of providing the same for others results in beautiful clothing not bound by any specific gender, and vulnerability that is honest, affirming, and considerate in the sense that anyone viewing a piece from her brand can tell whoever made it really cares. The balancing of strength and vulnerability in Patti Smith's music, generated from her willingness to put her world on display, corresponds with the balancing of strength and vulnerability Anne Demeulemeester achieves through her creations for the same reasons. I'm sure more of you guys are way more familiar with Bjork than Noir Ninomiya, so let's start with him. He used to be a pattern maker for Comme des Garçons after dropping out of the Royal Academy of Antwerp. This was grueling work, but Mama Ray must have seen the great potential in him and encouraged him to create his own brand, which he did in 2012, presenting his first collection in the same year. His work evolved over time from monochromatic sartorial pieces infused with the Comme des Garçons air to more complicated creations that aren't really clothes. It's borderline couture, but it's not, because he doesn't sew most of it. Most of it isn't even made out of cotton or natural fabrics either, other than maybe leather. In every interview you can find of him on the internet, he'll mention his key goal of trying to create something new every time he sets out to make something. This is like his big deal, right? Like previously mentioned, he doesn't construct clothes the way most other designers were traditionally taught to do. He employs avant-garde techniques like snapping multiple small pieces of fabric together in place and other strange methods to put an entire garment together. The results are often structures that appear to be shielding, emerging from, or even consuming the body of the wearer. There's really nothing like it anywhere else in fashion, not even the main line of Comme des Garçons. I'm not going to get any deeper on who he is and what he does because I did an entire video on that. This is a plug, go watch the video. But what we're focusing on here is his vision. Rejecting traditional ideas in clothing creation like muses or mood boards, barely having sewing machines in your workshops, former challenging work at Comme des Garçons where Ray Karakubo will give you 3 words and tell you to extract something the world has never seen before. Ninomiya operates on an entirely separate plane of existence from everybody else in the industry. He's only concerned with moving forward and pushing creation itself to the limit, where he's privileged to be funded under the Comme des Garçons umbrella so he doesn't have to worry about making commercial clothing. He can just explore his raw impulses to no end. A designer being fully concerned with only creating something new with almost childlike wonder, no common limitations of the industry he operates in, and an obvious distinct taste that sets him apart from anything you've ever seen before is exactly what Bjork could dream of. That's my transition. We're going to talk about Bjork now. Now, Bjork has worked with and worn many designers in the past, like Helmut Lang, Alexander McQueen extensively, and Comme des Garçons, which might be cheating because there's an easy link to draw between teacher and master, but I don't care. She shares similarities with Ninomiya even outside of the music itself, with her being a permanent outlier to the main status quo of her own industry. Through her music videos, magazine shoots, behavior, casual dress, album covers, and other extensions of herself, she managed to establish herself far away from the norm, along with the fact that she's from Iceland, a country that never produced such a global star of her magnitude before her. She's explored unconventional methods of recording, performing, and pretty much every other artistic endeavor she's ever had, with a desire to follow her instincts into the unknown. There's a really good interview she did with Purple magazine for their The Essence of Fashion, issue 41, spring summer 24, where Bjork speaks a lot about her relationship with fashion and how she mixes it with music. She sees her fashion, like most people, as an extension of her sensibilities, as well as expressing herself without talking. And as she got older and more complicated, so did her fashion and music. We can see this through the progression of her album covers as well. She seeks to work with designers that can capture her sensibilities and exchange ideas with her. So it's no surprise that she has worn a large amount of Ninomiya's work over the past 7 years or so. She wore Noir K Ninomiya Spring Summer 24 for her Purple magazine feature, 3 separate looks from 3 separate collections for her Coachella performances in April 2023, a few looks for her Cornucopia tour in 2022, her performances in Olaf's Fest for 2022, a few looks for her 2023 performances in Tokyo, and lastly when she threw a rave under a bridge in Williamsburg, New York in May 2024. There's common ground of inexplicable expression of one's mind and soul between their creations, and like Bjork said, she tries to show how the music sounds in her album covers. So when she goes to a concert wearing Ninomiya's creations, we can infer that she herself found a perfect match. So don't take it from me, take it from her. Let me know in the comments if you want a part 2, it's probably coming anyway. Become a member on YouTube or on Patreon for early access and exclusive videos. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed, I really hope you did, and I'll see you in the next one.